are smart enough to understand your cycle. You are smart enough to map it. It is predictable enough for you to understand it. It is one fewer thing that you could rely on our system for. Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kaki, and today I am actually going to be making you guys a video that unironically is designed to help you out in today's political climate. Now, if you don't understand what I mean by unironically, then maybe pause this video, go back and watch last week's video, or watch it later, but last week got a little sarcastic. This week, I just want to make a video that is genuinely helpful. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to get political. I do believe that a lot of the media right now is focusing on categorizing protesters as whiners. Just people who can't find anything better to do except play the victim. What a lot of people still don't understand is that the definition of feminism being equality between the genders is actually one and the same with women in our current society needing to be elevated to meet men. We do actually need more rights. We need to be recognized as human beings because women's rights are human rights, but I'm not going to get into a full tirade on that today. Instead, today I'm going to be talking about one way that women can claim their independence, and that is from hormonal birth control. So I was on hormonal birth control from the age of 16. I got on birth control because I was in a long-term relationship at that age. I had been for a long time, the relationship went on for a long time, and I spoke to my mom, she was open-minded about it, talked to the doctor about it. I got on Depo-Provera. Would not recommend. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. It made my moods so bad that I remember one time a faucet in the kitchen was dripping and I couldn't get it to turn off, and I just started sobbing. And I mean, yeah, 16-year-olds are angsty, but not that angsty, okay? It was just like an extreme version of PMS my whole life. Like, if you want to be on a birth control that really controls your birth, go ahead and get on one, because the hormones will make you not want to ever have sex because you're just so hormonal all the time. It's a catch-22, you know? You're like, oh, I want to do this to have the freedom to have sex anytime I want. P.S. the hormones are gonna make me never feel sexy again. Cool. Thinking that I really didn't have any other choice but to be on birth control, I basically kind of went through all the different kinds. You know, I didn't do the patch or anything because I found that to be highly conspicuous, but I tried the NuvaRing. It wouldn't stay up there. I've been on several different pills that all did crazy things, and then I did actually find a pill that I felt really good about. I was on Generous FE for a really long time, and it has like an iron replacement supplement for the part when you are losing blood. I found that it was pretty much the one that didn't screw me up so bad. I've been on that probably for the last 5 or 6 years. It was through working with my doctor, my gynecologist, and everything that I arrived at that particular pill. I really thought that this was the best answer for me. And what I think really happened is I forgot how normal feels. You forget how to listen to your body. But then, as you guys may or may not know, I've made lots of videos about it, and I will continue to make more videos about it because I am constantly changing. I started having a lot of other health issues. I started being treated for anxiety and depression. I was treated for psoriasis. I had psoriasis all over my scalp and a lot of my body. It was really humiliating and debilitating and just made me feel really uncomfortable. And the Humira that I was being treated with for psoriasis interacted with everything else that I was on, causing me to have really bad sinus infections all the time, and it was just this kind of nasty snowball effect of like, oh my god, I'm 29 and I'm sicker than I've ever been in my entire life. So I did a reevaluation, that's it in a nutshell, and I thought, okay, well, let's try and just distance myself from these medications and see how I feel. Now, in our current political climate, that decision is so much more meaningful because I used to be so reliant on my insurance. I was on the phone with my insurance every couple of weeks because something to do with Humira or something to do with antidepressants or something to do with allergy medication or just a sinus infection or yeast infection or something that was basically a side effect of one of the other drugs. Diflucan, which you use for yeast infections, interacted with Lexapro, which is what I was on, and it would like cause heart palpitations, and so I had to stop taking that. It was just a nightmare. As I started getting off of these things, I figured, well, the easiest thing out of all of these to get off of is actually going to be birth control because I can figure out another way. So I started exploring my options. I started doing some reading and found out that there is a lot that the doctor doesn't tell you when you're 16 and decide to get on birth control about what birth control actually does to a woman's body. It's not just injecting yourself with hormones. It's steroids that behave like hormones. They can alter everything in your body. They can alter every single organ in your body. Basically, it's the strongest force in the universe as far as I'm concerned. Hormones can dictate everything from your mood to your personality to the way that you handle change, handle your own emotions. And so I borrowed this book from a friend of mine called The Garden of Fertility. Has a lot of pet hair on it. And it basically shows you how to chart your cycles. The misconception behind this is that charting your cycles is one and the same with the rhythm method. And the rhythm method is basically kind of an antiquated way of predicting when you're fertile and infertile based on past cycles. The problem is that every cycle is different. So natural family planning often kind of gets a bad rap because a lot of people associate it with Catholics who don't use birth control and they have a lot of children. As soon as I started talking about getting off of birth control, hormonal birth control, and getting on something natural, just, you know, charting my cycles or something like that, everybody's like, well, look forward to getting pregnant soon. And I was like, that's really kind of shitty, you know? But then after doing a lot of research on it, I came to understand that society wants women to think that their fertility and reproductive system is so complicated that there's no way that they can master it on their own. I am here to tell you, and several other women on YouTube will tell you, it's not that complicated. Basically, here's how it breaks down. You have a period, that's the beginning of your cycle. Then you have another set of days where you might or might not be fertile because you're ovulating. So it's like you don't know when exactly you're gonna ovulate, and if you have sex anytime the 5 days prior to ovulating, that egg could be fertilized on that day that you ovulated. So basically, you have to determine what that time of your cycle is that you are fertile, and then when you ovulate, you know that all that time from then till your period, you are infertile and you are free to have sex without having a baby. It's just a matter of figuring out what those days are for you. And there are several different ways to do it. So essentially you can chart your cycles, which basically charts your period, your mucus in your vagina, which actually tells you so much. It really does. I know that sounds crazy because you're probably one of those people who's always like, damn, it's freaking chaos down there. I don't know what's going on. But there is actually a rhyme and reason to it. And I totally encourage you guys to read up on this stuff. I will put the links to the books below because I am in no way an authority on every single word of the text in these things. In fact, it's important actually to discern fact from fiction in some of these because like you start getting into things where it's definitely like hippy dippy, like if you wear a bra you're definitely getting breast cancer stuff, and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, you know, calm down. And then the other way is to actually check your cervix. Your cervix does things during your cycle that apparently tell a very clear story of what's going on inside, and they all rely on taking your temperature, your basal body temperature at the same time every morning. And that is basically before you've gotten up and gone to pee, before you've gotten up and eaten anything, whatever. It's when you just literally wake up, you stick a thermometer in your mouth. A lot of people thought that you stuck it in your vagina when I was telling them about this, and I'm like, no, I don't. But yeah, you put it in your mouth, you chart your temperature. When you are ovulating, your temperature goes down and stays down because basically it's trying to make an accommodating environment for an egg and for a zygote. Same thing with like men's testicles being outside of their bodies because it needs to maintain a cooler temperature than the rest of the body because that's ideal for reproductive pieces like ova and spermies. So I'm not a scientist or anything, but this makes perfect sense to me. I mean, it's that easy. Once it goes up and stays up, that's when you know you're infertile. And that sounds really, really cool and easy. No, it doesn't, does it? Yeah, I feel the same way. So I was reading these books and I'm like, oh God, I can barely remember to take a pill every day. How in the hell am I going to chart this and then trust myself that I'm not going to get pregnant? That sounds terrifying. So then I started exploring some more options because I was like, surely I am not the laziest woman on earth. There have got to be people out there who feel the same way I do about this process, and thank God for the 21st century, guys, because I came across a lot of women who use this. This is called a lady comp. Look, it says the time on it. And there are several of these out there. There's the Daisy, that's the only one I can think of, but there are other ones. Basically what this does, it's got a thermometer on it. It wakes you up at the same time every day, you know, like an alarm clock. It takes a really accurate temperature every morning at the same time. I do it at 7:15 because I usually get up around 8, so this thing wakes me up at 7:15 and I go like this. And then it beeps to tell me it's done. And then I put it back in its little sleeve and then I go back to sleep. Okay, so it takes my temperature every single day. And you can see today I was 97.5. Yesterday I was 97.9. Day before I was 97.63. And you can see I've got a little green light right here. And that's basically telling me I am a-okay to have unprotected sex today if I so desired. And then you kind of go back and we're now at the 1st of the month, the 31st, the 30th. It's yellow because it's still learning my cycle. I've only had this thing for a couple of months and I've only had one complete cycle so far on it. It mapped my period and it mapped my cycle, but it's never going to tell me yes when it's not sure, which is kind of the beauty of it. So I can also go in here, and this is awesome, you guys. This is the actual calendar. So I can see right here, this is when I first got it. So it didn't really know. And then I was on my period right here. So it gave me the green light every day except the last day of my period. And then all of this, my temperatures were really low. And this whole time period was kind of my fertile time, according to this. Like, I definitely think it's going to get more and more accurate as it goes by, but I like that it errs on the side of no. And then you can see my temperature went back up and it stayed up. And you can see it's yellow because it's like, well, you know, is it gonna stay high? And it did for 3 days straight and then continued to stay high. So it's giving me the green light. It's basically doing the charting for you. Plus you have this like historical record of your cycle forever, which is so cool. So there are a lot of other little features in this according to how you want to look at your cycle. I know that the Daisy hooks up to your phone. That's cool. I don't feel one way or the other about that. I also kind of love that this thing is big. One of my friends was like, don't you think they could be a little more discreet about it? And I was like, honestly, I have spent too long being discreet about it. Gone should be the days of women being embarrassed about worrying about their fertility. We are the ones who are fighting for our rights to be able to prevent pregnancy when P.S. it takes two. It takes a man and a woman to make a baby, to fertilize an egg. You don't see men out there buying birth control. Oh my God, I'm gonna give myself fucking muscle cramp. So people trying to legislate on my body, trying to tell me that they're not gonna pay for my birth control when actually you're not paying for my birth control, you're paying for everybody's birth control because you're paying for men's birth control. Our birth control is so that men don't make babies either. Ooh, I could go on, but I will not. More about the Lady Comp. This is its cute little sleeve. This is what I keep it in at night. This guy is not cheap. This thing was $445. The Daisy is around $350. This one you can make an initial payment of around $250 and then pay it off for the rest of, I think, interest-free for a couple more months, something like that. I paid all at once, which was a mistake because it was right during Christmas, and then we had to buy a new washing machine and I was broke for a minute. But this thing is such an amazing investment if you can afford it, and honestly, if you can't, charting is free, and if there's anything that I could leave you with in this video, it is that you are smart enough to understand your cycle. You are smart enough to map it. It is predictable enough for you to understand it. It is one fewer thing that you could rely on our system for. Also, spoiler alert, getting off of birth control solved everything for me. I don't want to be that person who's just like, well, this is the one magic bullet, but actually it made all of the medical problems that I was spending money and eating medicine treating. My psoriasis is gone, guys. It's gone. Gone, gone, gone. I used to be covered in scabs, okay? And it's gone. Because, well, I think it's because I cleared it with Humira, so I didn't have to worry about actually clearing it, because that would have taken a lot of time. This is just how it worked out. But I got off Humira at the same time that I got off of birth control, and it's been months. The scalp psoriasis has not come back. I don't have to take antidepressants anymore, my skin's clearing up, and I do want to say that it is kind of common understanding that your body will take the same amount of time to regulate itself after getting off of birth control that you spent on birth control. So like, I'm looking down the barrel of the next 13 years of my body figuring itself out. So don't get on it. Don't get on birth control. Just don't do it, because it is hurting you more than it's helping you when the actual answers are completely in your hands. That is my completely unbiased opinion. It is possible to know your own cycle. It is possible to do it without a $500 piece of machinery, but I do highly, highly, highly recommend this thing if you don't trust yourself. Just save up for it. That is my rant for today on how to at least disentangle yourself from one part of the fucking patriarchy. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy this and you'd like to see more, hit that button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you as soon as possible.